If you were a die-hard Bridgerton fan, you'd know how hard it is to give your heart and soul to a limited TV series, don't you? Are you burning for more of that Regency-era drama and romance? Well then, it seems like you are in luck, because there is a Bridgerton spin-off in the making, one that's gonna have you glued to your couches. So, without further ado, let's get right into today's video, shall we? First up, what is Queen Charlotte's plotline? So, essentially, Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, is premised on an origin story that centers around young Charlotte's betrothal to King George III. As the age-old trope goes, in these Victorian dramas, the female protagonist, Charlotte, is betrothed to the king against her wishes, in an arranged marriage. When she arrives in England, she doesn't make a very good first impression. However, their marriage still takes place and eventually causes a shift in the social fabric of that time, seeing a person of color, like Lady Danbury, rise to the influential ranks in British high society. Netflix official news website Tudum deems Queen Charlotte's exchange with King George III as a great love story, which indicates that though she initially was displeased with him, she eventually accepted him and both of them were able to make their marriage work. Seasons 1 and 2 of Bridgerton offered a sneak peek into the Queen's damaged relationship with the king because of his fractured mental state. Therefore, it might be refreshing to see the Queen when she was young, charmed, and in love, enjoying the fairy tale life that she now wants for her younglings. There is also a probability that the prequel could illustrate the Queen's love life in her peak youth and what romantic experiences led her to become the pathological matchmaker she is now. Queen Charlotte will also take a look at the beginnings of Lady Danbury and Lady Bridgerton, particularly how the long-lasting friendship began in the first place. Following this, who is cast in the spin-off? Well, folks, thankfully, Netflix has aired the full cast and characters for Queen Charlotte, and the list includes India Armatifio, Michelle Fairley, Corey Miltrist, and Arsema Thomas from Redeeming Love. Debutee India Armatifio will be playing the youthful Queen Charlotte, a role that will change the status quo of British high society upon her arrival in England. Joining the list of debutees is also Corey Miltrist as the young King George. In mid-2022, it was confirmed that the prequel expanded its ensemble cast, having taken on Connie Jenkins-Greig in the recurring role of young Violet Ledger, the Bridgerton matriarch in her youth as a bachelorette preparing to debut on the marriage floor. Violet Ledger's parents will be played by Katie Braben, King Charles III, and Keir Charles, Greenwing, portraying Vivian and Lord Ledger. Other cast members include Cyril Nri, The Bill, and Lord Danbury, whereas Richard Cunningham from Dancing on the Edge will be playing Lord Bute, and Tunji Kasim from Nearly Famous will be coming on as Adolphus. Rob Maloney from Territory will also be coming on as the Royal Doctor. Additionally, a few of Bridgerton's original cast, including Golda Rosheuvel, who plays Queen Charlotte herself, along with Adjoa Ondo, who plays Lady Danbury, and Ruth Gemmell, who plays Lady Violet Bridgerton, will all make an appearance in the prequel as well. Now that sounds like a mighty big pack, doesn't it? Up ahead, who's behind the making of this? As for who's behind the camera, according to sources at IMDb, Shonda Rhimes' longtime showrunner and collaborator, Tom Verica, is set to take directorial reins, with what will be the first episode of Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. Their collaborations include a list of primetime runaway successes like Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, and Bridgerton. Betsy Beers, who's another seasoned player of the industry and the Shondaverse, will join Rhimes and Verica as executive producers. Verica, who also played Sam Keating in How to Get Away with Murder and has been on shows as iconic as Frasier, Seinfeld, and LA Law, appreciates Rhimes' creative process. He told The Hollywood Reporter she has very specific ideas about the stories that she wants to tell. He continued telling how she explains the narrative and that she trusts the people around her to go off and make it happen. He also said how they were able to talk about grander prospects of things and how it just feels seamless to be a part of the creative team there at Shondaland. Accomplished cinematographer Jeffrey Jur also shifted from the Bridgerton team to work on Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. Laura Freacon from the Fast and Furious franchise and Lynn Paolo, Shameless and Scandal, will be handling the costume design department. Sounds like a hefty job, doesn't it? We sure think so. Next, where is the show in terms of production? Coming on to the main area of interest for you guys, we do have some news to break. Thanks to multiple sources, there's confirmed ongoing production on the series, which began in January of 2022. Production Weekly later reported that production was officially launched on February 6th and confirmed that it'll conclude by May 2022. Principal photography is set in London, with the production expected to include Shepperton Studios, who developed its relationship with Netflix last winter. As for filming, it is taking place at Dit Manor, located at the Royal Berkshire. Tom Verica, the director of the series, posted that filming had officially commenced on Instagram, saying, "New chapter, day one filming, never gets old. Hashtag director's POV, wait till you see what we've got in store," which really put the fans on the edge of their seats. Filming later concluded in August. But are you psyched for the new Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story spin-off prequel series? Let us know in the comments down below. Up next, when is the show set to be aired? Coming to the release date for Queen Charlotte is yet to be publicly revealed. The production, however, as we mentioned, is underway. The company running the show show, Shondaland, had revealed pictures of a table read, but onto the actual release, well, that's truthfully still a bit in the dark. If we had to compare it with the production timeline of the original series, realistically, fans might have to wait till late 2033, with the tentative date being somewhere around fall or winter before the Netflix original is released. But in the meantime, you can satisfy your Victorian romance cravings by catching up on the third season of the actual rendition of the show, Bridgerton. It is also expected to come out either at the end of 2022 or early 2023, but it's not clear as of yet if the spin-off series will be released with Bridgerton or if the streaming service will keep their releases separate. In any case, which would you prefer? Let us know. Following this, what does the trailer say about the series? Interestingly, Netflix launched a chunky 2-minute long first look teaser, which is a lot considering that it was a teaser, available on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. It starts off with a single scene, seemingly from the first episode of the series, where we are introduced to an adolescent Charlotte in a feminine white gown, inquisitively looking for ways to jump over a brick wall in the palace garden. In true Victorian-era fashion, a young chivalrous King George approaches her carefully and resists her request to help her climb the wall. Charlotte, challenging his chivalry, asks him, "You refuse to help a lady in distress?" His answer provides the first real clue as to what the premise is in the teaser. "I refuse when that lady in distress is trying to go over a wall so she doesn't have to marry me," he responds calmly. This causes the usually self-assured Charlotte to be taken aback by his candor. Now, we've all seen Bridgerton, and it told us how she went on to marry George, so we know how this all turns out. But watching Charlotte and George, or their love story, will evidently be an essential part of Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. The trailer really only gives us teasing glimpses at the beginnings of their relationship, leaving the rest of the story to unfold once the series actually premieres on Netflix. How different do you think this will be from the Victorian love escapades that we've already seen? Lastly, where do we watch the show? For fans of the ever-blossoming Bridgerton universe, Netflix will be the place to keep your eyes glued to it if you want to watch all the adventures from the late 18th and early 19th century socialites. Before watching Lady Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, viewers can of course binge on Bridgerton, which is currently available to Netflix users. Season 3 of Bridgerton, which will follow the love tale of Colin Bridgerton, Luke Newton, and Penelope Featherington, Nicola Coughlan, is also set to be released next year. The prequel, Lady Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, is supposed to be a limited series and likely will not go on for longer than what is intended to be. However, the main Bridgerton show is expected to have 2 more additional seasons, with season 4 and beyond. So long as the series continues to boast affirmative feedback from both the critics and audiences, it's possible that Netflix will keep on creating adaptations for all of the available books, and maybe even more prequels and spin-offs. That's all for today, folks. Before you run, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and press the subscribe button for more videos just like this. See you next time. Till then, ciao!